Everyone believes they're going to do better than the generation before them. People grow up watching their parents stress about money, argue about bills, and live with constant financial pressure, and deep down, they make a quiet promise to themselves. That won't be me. They think they'll be smarter, more disciplined, more aware. But what's interesting is that almost nobody actually escapes the same outcome. Not because they're lazy, and not because they're unintelligent, but because they walk into the exact same trap, just in a slightly different form. The world changes, technology evolves, incomes increase, opportunities expand, but the core mistake stays exactly the same. And the most dangerous part about it is that it doesn't feel like a mistake at all. It feels normal. It feels deserved. It feels like progress. At the beginning, everything seems fine. You get your first real money, maybe your first salary that actually feels meaningful, and for the first time in your life, you feel independent. You're no longer asking for permission, no longer waiting, no longer limited in the same way. And naturally, you want to enjoy that. You want to feel the reward of your effort. You want to finally live a little. So you start spending. Nothing crazy at first. Maybe better clothes, a nicer phone, eating out more often, small upgrades that feel harmless. And that's exactly how it begins. Because those small decisions slowly become habits, and those habits quietly shape your entire financial life without you even noticing. The system around you makes it incredibly easy. Everything is optimized to make spending feel natural and even smart. Discounts, offers, upgrades, subscriptions, limited time deals, they're not accidents. They're designed to keep you moving in one direction. And that direction is not toward freedom, it's toward consumption. And here's where things get interesting. You're not alone in this. Everyone around you is doing the same thing. Your friends are upgrading their lives, your coworkers are buying new things. Social media is constantly showing you what success looks like, and success almost always looks expensive. So without realizing it, you start measuring your progress the same way, not by what you build, but by what you can afford. And over time, something subtle but powerful happens. Your lifestyle begins to grow at the exact same speed as your income. Every raise, every new opportunity, every bit of progress gets absorbed instantly. A better apartment replaces the old one, a better car replaces the previous one. Better habits replace cheaper ones. And from the outside, it looks like you're moving forward. But in reality, you're standing in the same place, just at a higher cost. This is the mistake. Not debt, not investing late, not even low income. The real mistake is confusing lifestyle growth with actual financial progress. Because real progress is not about how much you spend, it's about what you keep and how much you build. But that's not what people are taught to focus on. Nobody celebrates restraint. Nobody congratulates you for not upgrading your life. There's no social reward for saying no. But there is immediate validation for saying yes. You buy something nice, people notice. You upgrade your lifestyle, people react. You look successful even if nothing behind the scenes is actually changed. And that's why this pattern repeats across generations. It's invisible. It doesn't feel like a bad decision. It feels like you're finally winning. It feels like you're doing what you're supposed to do. And because of that, people don't question it until much later. Then comes the moment that hits differently. It doesn't happen in one big dramatic event. It usually comes quietly. Maybe you look at your bank account after years of working and realize there's no real cushion. Maybe you feel stuck in your job because you can't afford to lose the income. Maybe you start noticing that despite earning more than ever, you don't feel any closer to freedom. That's when the realization starts forming. It was never about how much you made. It was about what you did with it. And more importantly, what you didn't do. Because while most people were upgrading their lifestyle, they weren't building anything underneath it. No assets, no systems, no income streams that work without them. Just a more expensive version of the same life. And the longer this continues, the harder it becomes to change. Because now it's not just about habits, it's about obligations. Higher rent, higher expenses, higher expectations. You're no longer just maintaining a lifestyle, you're locked into it. And then there's the pressure, the comparison that never stops. You see people traveling, buying, achieving, and it creates this constant feeling that you're behind. Even if you're doing okay, it doesn't feel like enough. So you push harder, you spend more, you stretch further. Not because you need to, but because you feel like you're supposed to. And this is where most people get stuck permanently. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they never step back far enough to see the pattern. But the people who do break out, they don't think differently from the beginning, or at least they learn to think differently early enough to change direction. They stop chasing the appearance of success and start focusing on the structure behind it. They understand that money is not for showing, it's for building. So instead of upgrading their lifestyle every time their income increases, they pause, they redirect, they invest. Not just in stocks or markets, but in anything that creates future income. Skills, systems, opportunities, assets, things that grow over time instead of disappearing the moment you pay for them. And this doesn't look impressive at first. It actually looks slower. It looks like you're missing out. While others are upgrading, you're holding back. While others are spending, you're building. And in the short term, it feels like you're behind. But over time, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. Because while others are maintaining their lifestyle, you're creating options. And options are what real wealth actually looks like. The ability to say no, the ability to change direction, the ability to not depend on a single paycheck. That's the part nobody shows because it's not flashy, but it's the only thing that actually matters. And at this point, everything flips. You stop thinking about money as something you spend, and you start thinking about it as something that works, something that builds, something that compounds over time. At that moment, you're no longer playing the same game as everyone else. Because the truth is simple. If you don't make a conscious decision to change your approach, you will repeat the same financial pattern as every generation before you. Not because you want to, but because it's the default. It's what the environment pushes you toward every single day. And one day, without even realizing how you got there, you'll look back and see that nothing fundamentally changed. The numbers got bigger, the lifestyle improved, but the freedom you were chasing never actually arrived. So the real question isn't how much you earn. It's not even how early you start investing. The real question is whether you're aware enough to break the cycle while it still matters. Because once you see it clearly, you can't unsee it. And once you understand it, you finally have a choice. Repeat the pattern or step out of it completely.